Welcome to What's Going On, the weekly podcast and videocast of First United Methodist Church in Yankton, South Dakota. Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of What's Going On. I'm Pastor Katie here at First United Methodist Church, and I'm glad you could join me for this episode. I have something very special in store for you in a few moments, but before we get to kind of the bulk of the episode today, I just want to take a moment and say thank you to everyone who came out for Charge Conference this past Sunday. It is just always a special time, a special thing to gather together and look forward envisioning in the life of the church, and for all of you to get to be connected with Reverend Brandon Becker, who you saw on the podcast this last week. I'm really excited for where God is leading and guiding us, and I wanted to say thank you for being a part of it. Also, special thanks to those who helped decorate the church and get it all ready for Advent and Christmas. It's such a special time of year, and it certainly helps getting in the Christmas spirit. Now, the other thing that's really going to help us kind of get in that Christmas spirit, really get it in our bones, is this new event that we have coming up called A Taste of Christmas Heritage. Now, the rest of this podcast today is going to be with the two ladies who are really the originators putting together this new event that we have. Hopefully it'll become an annual event and something that people can really look forward to. And it's a way to share our own traditions, our own history, our own customs with each other, and get to know each other better, to celebrate the various ways that we celebrate this season and honor not only Christ and Christ's coming, but also that time we have together with one another, with our families, and the ways that we can remember where we've come from and have that be part of who we are. And so you're going to be seeing Carol Becker and Marilyn Elwood, and they're going to share a bit about where this event has come from, a little bit about their vision for what it can be. But if I can put my 2 cents in, I hope that you consider bringing something. I hope that you consider sharing a part of your family traditions with us at the church. It's, again, just a way for us to get to know each other better, a way that we can share and maybe share some cool ideas of things that we've never known before, never learned before, never considered before. You might come away with a new treat that you've never tried before that is now your new favorite that you want to incorporate into your holiday traditions. Maybe you'll come away with a better appreciation of how other people celebrate, some more knowledge, which is never a bad thing. And so I'm really looking forward to this event. It's going to be December 1st, immediately following the worship service down in Wesley Hall. If you are planning to bring something, let those ladies know ahead of time, because they're going to make space for you, they'll make signs for you. But if you don't decide until the night before that you want to do it, still come bring something. If you have nothing that you're able to share this year, that's okay. Come and experience it. And let's kick off this Advent season with a bang. And so I just want to say thank you to both of those ladies for all the work they're putting into this. And then just again, to give you kind of get it on your calendar, because I know that December really fills up fast, but we're also going to be doing again this year Christmas caroling with care casseroles. This was something we did last year, where we go caroling to our homebound, our shut-ins, people associated with the church. And not only do we give them the gift of beautiful music, which I'm sure it was, but also the care casserole team puts together a special meal to also bless those that we are visiting. So that's coming up. We have our children's Christmas program, which will be during the worship service on December 15th. On December 17th, that Tuesday evening, will be Blue Christmas, and it's here this year at our church. I've got some fun things. Reverend Jacqueline over at UCC and I have already been working on it. We've got some fun creative things for that particular service. It's fun to plan those things, but that service is especially for those who are struggling. But we want it to be a special service. We want it to be meaningful and helpful. And we find sometimes that having something tangible as part of that service is really helpful. So you're definitely going to want to come to that. Even if you haven't lost someone this year, there are all kinds of grief that we carry. And if you are struggling this year to be in the holiday spirit, I would encourage you to attend that service. It has always been incredibly meaningful for me and something that I actually look forward to every year. And then don't forget that we do have Christmas Eve services here this year. 4:30 and 7. The 7 o'clock service, something a little different this year. We're going to be offering communion, which is something I've done in the past at other churches that I've served. And the communion liturgy is very special for Christmas Eve. And so if you're trying to figure out which service to go to, they're both going to be wonderful. But that's something a little different that we're going to offer this year. And so I just put that before you as well as you're making your holiday plans. But without further ado, I give you Carol and Marilyn, and you might hear my voice chime in there a time or two. Until next time, God bless.
Hi, I'm Marilyn Elwood, and this is
Carol Becker.
I was going through the soul scans and seeing what people feel they have a need for in this church or want to participate in church. And Carol had written a note on hers that she would like to see us in some social situations gathering together on a variety of topics. And I know in UMW one time, we had shared things that were important to us from our family history. And it was so incredibly interesting. It really was. Learned so much. And so we kind of talked about that idea that we would turn it into something for Christmas and that we would share food, always a big one, any time of year, but Christmas, we would share food, we would share traditions, we would share things that are made from our family, Christmas decorations, and we just kind of turned it into what we would like to call a taste of heritage. And I'll let Carol talk a little bit about heritage, and we'll give you the details about when everything's happening.
It is so interesting background of so many people. And I am second generation Swedish. My grandmother came from Sweden. And so Swedish foods and decorations were very prominent in my home, and now even my granddaughter is, very interested in it. And so what I have, it's brought some things that when you come that Sunday, please let us know, and we will have a table for you, because many of you have things from Germany, from Norway, from many different countries, and we want to hear it. We want to see it, be it whatever. And my kitchen is all Swedish. So even the cup that now I drink out of every day is that life is Swedish. And so but when I traveled, I have always been interested in food. So I have recipe books from Haiti. So those have been to Haiti. If you wish to bring something, I have a cookbook for you. Of course, I have a Norwegian one. I have one from Nova Scotia, which is Scottish. And I have English. And then, of course, I have Swedish Christmas. And the decorations in your home are typical of Swedish is the straw. And then, of course, we're all familiar with this little gentleman who it turned out that this was originally a toy that was handcrafted and given to Swedish children. And then they become very collectible. Now, I had some very large ones like this who now I have given to my grandchildren and Carla. They're very valuable. And, something like this is about $75 because they're really unique and whatever. So, you have the story of it. So that's my heritage, but I'm so anxious to hear about other people. And I have a costume because the churches I belonged to before had a Swedish supper. And so we were in costume. My husband also had a costume. So that's my background.
And what we would like to see, like I said, is food. You could bring a family-sized dish of a recipe from your heritage. We will have little markers on it to say what the dish is and what country it represents. We're going to kind of do a taste buffet where you'll take a little bit of everything. And if you struggle with that, or gee, I don't have something, but I love Mexican food, or I would love to have something from Haiti, like Carol said, get a cookbook and represent that country. We also want to have, like she said, displays. And that's the interesting part about finding out about the story behind that horse or other things. I know some people who have beautifully sewn things at Christmas time, gorgeous decorations that we will keep safe, we promise, but you can show those and represent those as a heritage. And we'll have tables set up around in the dining area. And hopefully we can share our stories with each other. We're hoping to have decorations on the table that represent different countries also. So this is going to be December 1st, right after church. So come to church, have communion, come downstairs for a taste of heritage where you can try different things maybe you've heard about, but have never tasted them. This would be a good time to do that. Sit at a table, share fellowship. We're celebrating our differences, yet we're also celebrating Christ's table. We're going to sit together, we're going to break bread together, and that is more alike than anything else. We are more alike than we are different. And we really would like to celebrate that this Christmas time. And if you have something like she has to wear, that would be awesome. And just to share that time together and share our heritage of what God has done for us and how he has gone forth to all the nations. And we celebrate that.
And if people have questions and say, well, I know my heritage is such, but I don't have any information, go to the library. There is one section that's all cookbooks, and they will help you do, so if you have a little tiny bit of something in you, like a little tiny finish, go to the library and embellish on it. You'll learn something about yourself and your own heritage, which is a wonderful thing because we all have treasures.
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the things that I've kind of realized over the years is the holidays are when our heritage comes out, when wherever we have come from in the past, those are where those traditions tend to still show up are in the holidays. But maybe if there's a family that there's certain things that are important in that family, maybe it doesn't go back generations. Would that still be okay for them?
Right. Absolutely. You're creating heritage in your family now. So anything that you have that means really something special to your family that you would like to stay in your family and pass on, that would be an awesome thing to share. And I do have to say that last week I made molasses cookies. My mother made them and my grandma, and it's just, I went across the street to my neighbors with warm molasses cookies, and I thought she was going to cry. She said, "This takes me to my mom." And this is the time of year we also miss our loved ones from past. And sometimes a dish or a taste or a smell of something like that, you are back in grandma's house.
Yes.
And that is just an incredible place to be. So we would love to share these experiences with you.
Oh, that reminds me of even just my own childhood. My grandmother always had mushroom meatballs over rice for Christmas Eve, and my other side they would do chili or oyster stew.
Yes.
And that's
oyster stew is.
I don't know that that's a thing that people do much anymore.
I think
it's
so.
our Christmas Eve. My family does it on Christmas Eve.
It makes you want, the question I start getting is, where did that come from? Because it is a common thing, but I don't know necessarily where that started or why that became a thing. Especially chili and oyster stew, because those smells do not go together.
No. Well, for the longest time in my family, it was oyster stew, and my dad fixed it, and he made the best oyster stew. Then, as we started marrying, mom had to add some because we didn't. None of us married anybody that really was gangbusters on the oyster stew.
So it makes me think that it's also a good time to maybe ask the questions of, if your family has traditions, where did these come from?
Mhm.
Why do we do this thing that we do? Because it might be tied to some,
Mhm.
further back
Yeah.
heritage that we've just never, it's a good opportunity to talk in your own family
Mhm.
and do some research of, why do we do the things the way that we do them? And then maybe you find the thing that.
And I think blending of different nationalities has been wonderful, because then you bring something from your family into their family into whatever. And I think that's such a rich thing for our children.
Mhm.
And then you can go back many, generations and say, oh, yes. And that's, some of the people today are Heinz 57s,
Right,
which
yeah.
is
Yeah,
just
yeah.
fine,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but somewhere along they had a family tradition.
Mhm.
One of my friends, her father worked in a grocery store, and on Christmas Eve, it was always a hurry. And so they ended up having mac and cheese before they went to church. And she said they decided that was a good thing. And every year that was their common thing. So it doesn't have to be, that's what she remembered.
Yeah.
That's what Christmas, it's not Christmas without that
Yeah.
thing,
Right.
that tradition. Yeah, I was thinking about, my husband and I, we both come from different, family heritage. And one of the thing in my family, part of my family is Norwegian, and we would make lefse. And Jason had never heard of it before
Mhm.
because he didn't grow up around Norwegians in Arizona. Apparently, they don't like the heat. And I remember when we were dating, the first time I brought him home while we were making lefse, because it was a big deal, because we kind of decided, if he doesn't like this, it's a no-go. It's not going to work in this family. Luckily, he did, but he also, from his side, the Luxembourg, he would take me to Oktoberfest in Remsen,
Mhm.
and we would have the tripen, which is a blood sausage, and
Yeah.
we would have head cheese, and we would have German potato salad. And,
Mhm.
I'd rather have the lefse,
Yeah.
but again, those things are such a rich thing.
Yes.
And we don't want to lose that. We should
Mhm.
celebrate those
Right.
things, because it tells a story of where we've come from and where we're headed. So, any final encouragements for our church? Is this open to anybody?
Yes, this is open to anybody and for any nationality. Like I said, if you're you just absolutely love Italian food and you're not Italian,
Right.
that's okay, especially if you have practiced that for a lot of years and have wonderful Italian recipes. We're just sharing God's bounty and his diversity. And that's the best part of it, to share that with each other and share our stories in a time of fellowship.
At our last UMW Women of Faith meetings, we shared some of the things Diane had said, that she was making potato dumplings because that's their family. And then we went around that, and it was so interesting. Lydia's go-to is apple salad.
Mhm.
And Dolores said, and banana cream pie. That's what,
Mhm.
and isn't this wonderful? Because that's what their family expects grandma to bring.
Oh, yeah.
Or mother to
Mhm.
bring. And so it was really interesting. And so that really, prompted me to get started on this, that this is what we need to do. And you get to know people, you know, uh, so don't be afraid. If you don't bring something, please come anyway, because
Yes.
there's going to be a lot of food. And if you haven't been able to fix something, or you live alone, please come
Yes.
and enjoy and sit down and visit. So it'll be really rewarding.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you ladies for not only sharing with us on the podcast, but also for putting this out there and for doing the soul scan that helped to prompt this. I don't want to lose that piece of it, that if you have ideas for things that we can be doing in the church, please let us know. We're excited to be trying things and to be community together. And so we hope that this is the first of many of these kind of things to come. And so if you haven't had a chance to fill out a soul scan, you can still do that. Marilyn is the what do we call you?
Coordinator.
Yeah. We call you Marilyn.
Not,
We call
not
you.
coordinated, coordinator.
But know that that's part of what that is if you have goals or things that you would like to work on, we're here to support you and help you and make it happen. And this is a great example of that. And so again, I want to thank both of you for all the ways that you enrich our church by being who you are and inviting others to be who they are. So
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of What's Going On, a video and audio podcast of First United Methodist Church in Yankton, South Dakota. We'd love to have you join us for worship on Sundays at 10 a.m., either in person or via our live stream, which can be found at our website, www.firstumcyankton.org, or by searching First UMC Yankton on YouTube.